Might be live. So I've been thinking to make a mallet, and I wasn't sure what to make it out of. I've got some oak, got some cherry wood, got some willow, got a bunch of softwood, and I saw this scrap of plywood, and I thought, why not try with that and learn from it, and then make something better after I figure out what didn't work so well with this version. So let's try it. Here we go. So start cutting things up and gluing them back together. All right. So I'm going to need the table saw with the crosscut sled. And you may be able to see I've got a secondary camera here as I'm trying to record things and make it easier for me to make long form videos in addition to the live streams. I like to be able to do the live streams and include everybody, but I also like to have the horizontal view and higher quality video from recording in horizontal view and high resolution. Because believe it or not, the live stream doesn't really record as high a quality video as what I can get otherwise. So let's plug this guy in. And anyone who's watching, feel free to join into the chat. Tell us where you're watching from. I'm in Idaho in the United States. It is a little after midnight here. So let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. And hey, shoot, or sorry, shout, no, shot. You just told us on your live how it's supposed to be pronounced, and now I can't remember. So you said you're fine with shoot, so I'll probably just end up continuing with that. But I'll have to remember the actual pronunciation. Billy, good to see you. Shoot from Tennessee. And all right, let's see what we've got going on here. So that's what I'm going to be cutting up. You get some ear protection, some eye protection. It's all good. Yep. Oh, North Carolina. I remember now. Billy's in North Carolina. Carolina del Norte. All right. So get that guy out of the way. Move this guy. And so I'm thinking to just do a few different layers of this plywood as the mallet. And you can see it's, it's pretty beat up. There was some adhesive that I removed. This is just something I salvaged from a shipping container a while ago. So it's not exactly high quality plywood, right? So looks like there's still some adhesive on here. Be nice to remove some of that before gluing this all together. But anyway, my idea was basically to cut off these ends and use those as kind of the middle sandwich because they've got these holes and stuff. So I'll make that the least visible part. So I just come over here and plan to just cut off that end there. Let's see if I can get you a little bit better view. Or a lot better view. I don't know what you prefer, a little bit better or a lot better. A lot better view means that I'm not in the picture as much. So I'm going to grab something so that I can support that with something other than my finger holding it down. I don't want my fingers to be closer to the blade than necessary. Speaking of the blade, I should probably raise it up so that it'll actually cut something. Let's see. That is just about where I want it. There we go. All right, let me just check on our, oh, hey, lots of chat here. All right. I thought Billy went to bed. You are in bed? Sweet. Woodworker. Hey, I work with some wood sometimes. In a recliner, watching your comedy live. Sweet. All right, here we go. Let's see how this goes. So I'm thinking to just cut off this end and then cut off the exact end using my stop. So I've got two identically sized pieces, and then I'll have a handle that kind of sandwiches between those, and then have a couple of pieces on the outside that might make more sense if I just do it and show you as I'm going instead of describing it to you. Here we go. All right, so that plywood doesn't want to stick together. Too many voids in that. So that's got a fair amount of void in it as well. Let's see if I can take off another little segment here to use in lieu of that piece. Maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe this plywood is not going to support this project. All right. So we can have those. Then the idea would be that I'll have a segment of this guy like that, cut down the handle a little bit here, and then use a couple of pieces of that to sandwich on either side here. And then I was thinking potentially to put some oak on the ends so that it's got a little bit more durability. So I'm guessing that pounding the plywood isn't going to do any wonders for anything. So let's see what our length is here. Actually, I'll just use my little measurement here. So I've got a little tape right there. And that is right at 6 inches, surprisingly. So then I'll just move my stop, that 6-inch mark. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough length on this guy to really do anything. Yeah, because if I cut off 6 inches here, another 6 inches there, that's not going to give me enough handle to do anything with. So I'm thinking that's not going to work for this. Darn it. All right. Let's see. Do I do fine woodworking? My woodworking is, here, let me get in the camera here for that. My woodworking is fine. All right. So, yeah, we're working on it. Got a mallet. For anything? Yeah. Got more wood? Yeah, we got lots of wood. Got so much wood. So, got lots of scrap down here underneath the miter saw. Got a bunch of plywood here on my plywood cart. Bunch of just odd cuts here and kind of the middle portion. Bunch of just kind of other stuff over here. Got some willow segments there from a willow tree I cut down. Got some cherry wood that I cut up from cherry branches and milled. Got a bunch of oak that I salvaged from some oak hardwood floors that I milled up and have ready to use. Got a bunch of cedar 2x6s that I salvaged from a deck, and then a bunch of wood that I salvaged from shipping containers. This cedar up here I salvaged from the firewood pile. So I don't know if you can. Did I get you that the view of that cedar right there? And then yeah, so a bunch of the wood from shipping containers and whatever. So most of the wood that I have here, I paid $0 for, and free is my favorite price. Hey, Old Path, good to see you, man. John, you're asking if my fine woodworking was a joke. Sort of, yeah. So the woodworking I do is not what I would consider fine woodworking. It's woodworking that's fine, right? It's functional, not necessarily beautiful, right? So it's more about serving a function and less about the artistic beauty and such. So anyway, that's how I would describe it. So let's actually transition instead of plywood, because I just saw that scrap of plywood and thought, hey, why not? I'll just use something from the pile over here, probably some softwood, some pine or something. Not exactly sure what wood everything is here, because like I said, most of this has just been salvaged from somewhere. So this should work. What do you guys think? Something like that? So this tapers off this way. Again, not sure what this wood is. Anyone able to tell just from looking at the grain and the coloring? So this is pretty rough. So I think I'll run it through the planer before we start cutting it up. So let me get the planer ready. Which means I will move this guy out of the way. Just put that on the router table for now. Move this camera somewhat into position. Move the bandsaw out of the way. Pull out the planer. Those of you that have been watching the channel for a while will recognize that I now have the dust collection set up on the planer. If you can even see the planer at the moment. So we've got the dust collection port set up because I've actually got not only the dust collector, which I've had since I've had the planer, but I've also got the hose to connect the two. So let me grab the hose. All right, got a hose there, got a hose here. All right, hose everywhere. Okay. And go. Let's see. And get you a little bit of an angle there so that when the wood comes through, it won't run into the thingy, the tripod. Hey, Carly. Let's see. All right. Yeah, wood supply is not a problem. Yippers, shalom, shalom, old Pat. Thanks for being here. It's all fine. Dad had a total shop. Yeah, I wouldn't call this a total shop, but it's a shop that's sometimes totaled. Got Carly 55 and oh yeah, like everybody. Well, like. Good idea, Carly. I like that idea. And spruce. Yeah, that could be. Anyone know? Spruce? Any ideas? Is that spruce or something else? And then I don't know where I got this from, but it looks like it's got some drywall remnants on it. Something like, oh, you know what? This was I probably tore this off of the wall in the shop here, because when I built this workbench and French cleat wall and everything, before I moved in here, there was actually this wall up here and a little bit in the corner on that wall. The workbench was actually on that wall, and above it was some pegboard. So I think this was supporting the pegboard. So I think that's why there's drywall on it, because it was drywall from the back of either this wall or that wall right in this area. So that must be where it came from. All right. So we've got one vote for spruce. Maybe we'll confirm, or looks light and soft. Yep. I think you're right, Billy. I think it does look light and soft. It's not very heavy. So, I mean, this is not going to be a heavy duty hardwood mallet. This is likely a softwood. And I'm just making a mallet because I haven't before. So I thought, let's practice with scrap of whatever this stuff is. And when I learn a little bit better, I'll make something better out of some better materials. So I'd rather practice on stuff like this and make my mistakes on stuff like this. So then when I'm using better materials, I'm less likely to make mistakes. Now, I'm probably still going to make mistakes, but maybe the mistakes won't be as serious. And hey, Heidi, thanks for joining in. Douglas fir stripping. Yeah, that could be. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So anyway, let's get this plane down a little bit. So I'm not going to worry about actually jointing it because this side is relatively flat. I'll just run this side through first, or run this on the bottom first, plane that off. And like I said, this is not a high-end anything that we're working on today. So I've got my hearing protection, my eye protection on, turn on the dust collector, turn on the planer, and then we'll get going. Actually, let me get it to an appropriate height before I start turning everything on. It feels like it might bite a little bit, so we'll go with that. Here we go. All right, so there's what it looks like. Just planed both sides of it. And let me catch up on the chat here. Let's see. All right. Oily pine, if it's not as oily as spruce. Cheap to put behind pegboard. Yeah, it is. Dab of oil, put it on one end, one of the end grains. 86 the oil. Spruce. Okay, it's a good idea. Mike and Owl Mong. Mike Osborne, thanks for joining us. Billy, Mike, Bruce will usually soak it up. Is that a wrench sitting on cutter heads? Where are you talking about? Oh, it's this wrench. It's actually wrenches that are built. Those are the built-in holders for the planer. So that's just where they're supposed to be. They're just built into the planer. That's where DeWalt put them. And definitely fir. Billy's vote is spruce. Douglas fir for sure. Looks like spruce. Hey, Benjamin Winkle, good to see you. Quick drop in, appreciate it. Fern strip. Work starting in 5 minutes, okay. And yeah, it could be. It makes a lot of sense to me. Kind of smells like cedar, actually. I don't know if maybe my sense of smell is off, but I know none of you can smell what I'm smelling, which maybe is a good thing. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Is that possibly cedar? So anyway, just possibility. I think I'm done with the planer. So I'm going to unplug the planer and dust collector and move those back out of the way. One of the nice things about having such a modular shop is being able to move things around and don't have anything in a fixed position, so I can move things around as needed. One of the bad things is having to move things around as needed. So it'd be nice if I could have some more dedicated spaces for everything, but there are trade-offs on everything. So let me throw this guy back over into this corner. There we go. And then I will bring out the table saw again. And move my bandsaw here. Here's a nice close-up view. Of the table saw. Plug that guy back in. And I'm gonna get this plywood out of the way. The best way to do it, right? And let me see if this. So this guy definitely tapers. So it's a lot thinner on this end than on this end. But I want to see at what point it starts that taper. So I've just got out the calipers here. And at this end, it's showing 1.42 inches. 0.43, 1.39, 1.43, 42, All right, so right around here is where it starts tapering down. Let's see, 1.4. Yeah, right in this area here. Let me just mark that real quick. Yeah, right around here. So I'm thinking if I use up here for my mallet head, I could use down in this area for my mallet handle, or maybe I just start the mallet handle here. And so I've got a little bit thinner stock down here. But you know what? I think I'd rather just use this down here and just have a smaller connection up there. So I think that's the plan. So let me cut some segments over here first. Move that out of my way. I don't have nearly as much room over here, so I can't put this piece over here because it'll run into the fence. So I'm going to move my stop over to this side, but I don't have any tape on this side, so I'm going to have to pull out something else to measure it with, like, I don't know, a ruler. So I think I'm going to go with 5 inches. That should be a, relatively decent mallet head. Don't need something super big. Let's see. Mike, you were hoping it was for the planer. Yeah, the wrenches are for the planer. Billy Hemlock, interesting. I hadn't thought about Hemlock. Make a cart for that planer. Yeah, that's on my list of things to do. Pixel Smart or Pixel Smith, Pixel Smith Smart, Pixel Smart Smith. Sorry. Cedar is oily. You can always tell the smell of cedar. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Be careful with hemlock, silver hemlock with fester hemlock poisoning. Good to know. Rocket Man, Elton John. Okay. And hello, Swamp Rat. Thanks for being here. And all right. So I'm just going to use this. I'm going to cut 2 pieces at this 5-inch mark. And I'm going to cut 1. So those will act as the outside pieces. Although, you know what? I think I want to not have this big hole as part of my outside piece. So I'm going to shave this guy off right there. But I need to kind of move the table saw a little bit in order to do that. So I'll just do it right there. And actually, I'm going to adjust my table saw blade down a little bit because this is not as thick as the other stuff I was working with. And let's see. Yeah, Shoop says, everyone double tap the screen for the like button. Please subscribe. It's free. I agree. It's free. Everyone double tap, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you like what you're seeing. If you don't like what you're seeing, sorry. So I'm just going to cut this right over that. So my blade is going to go right through that hole, and I won't have to worry about it going forward. And then I'll cut my 2 pieces using my stop block, and then I'll measure a little bit smaller pieces for the rest of my build here. So the idea is that these will be the outside of the mallet. Now I just need to cut a couple of pieces that will go on either side there. So I'll have the handle coming up, and then I'll have a couple of pieces right there. So, but I'm going to cut down here for my handle. So, how long do I want my handle to be? What do you guys think? I'm going to have to remove my stop block. And for the stop block, I'm just using a match fit hardware. So it just uses a dovetail groove right here. And then the match fit hardware, you just drill a hole in the stop block and slide it in. So it's like T-track, but you don't have to buy the T-track. You do have to buy the match fit, which, maybe that ruins the cost effectiveness, but all right, so let's see. I think a mallet that's about yay big, top to bottom. That's probably about right. We'll just cut it there. Said this is I'm not following any plans. I'm just kind of going what feels right. All right, so here's my current idea. So then I just need to have a couple of equally sized pieces right there. To sandwich in between. So let me see if the piece that I cut and then threw over here, let me see if I can find it, number one. And then if I can, let me see if it'll work. And I'm not seeing it. No, that's a little piece of plywood I threw. Oh, is that it? Did I find it? Oh, I think I found it, but I dropped it further down. So let's see if I can retrieve it now. And I got it. All right, let's see if this is the size that will work. Ooh, it is. That's big enough. That is big enough. So let's see what, if I take that to the end there, and let me find my ruler again. So I need just under 4 inches, so that's 3 7/8 it looks like. So we need half of that. So half of 3 7/8 going to be 1 15/16. So let me put my stop block back on at 1 15/16. Am I thinking about that right? 7/8, half of 7. Would be half of 14/16. Well, yeah, so it'd be 7/8. Yep. All right. So that gets me right there. So let's see how well I calculated that. Oh yeah, and Shoop's got his channel in the in the chat. So anyone who's interested in checking out Shoop's channel, go ahead and check out that link. And I'm actually going to cut it on this side because when I cut that earlier, I didn't get that full nail hole or screw hole, whatever it was. So I'm going to cut off that side. And I'm going to grab something to hold that down with. Actually, I'll just use one of these other pieces, hold it down with. And I'll cut this guy. All right, so let's see how well that's going to work. So got that guy there, this guy here. And then sandwich that on top. And that, oh, that looks like it might actually kind of work. That's pretty close to being what I wanted it to be. There's a first time for everything, right? So that's kind of the idea. All right. Now I'm going to make a cut into this guy so that I can put a wedge in him, so that once I've got this glued up, I can make sure everything's nice and tight in there. So now I'm just trying to decide, do I want to make the cut this way, or do I want to make the cut this way? If I make the cut this way, that means my wedge can be wider. If I make the cut this way, then I've got a little bit more material and I'm less worried about things getting cracked. I'm going to put I'm going to drill a hole at the base of the cut. So either way, it shouldn't crack. You never know. All right. What do you guys think? Can you guys even see what I'm talking about? Or were you too? Did I have you angled down too much? And all right, let's bring you over here to the workbench area. And actually, I'll bring you up on the workbench. What do you guys think of that? Just have to manipulate my and ooh. Does that give you a decent view? What do you think? Let me see if I can tell how that view is from the laptop here. And that might be okay. Yeah, let me give you a little bit more of an angle here. All right. I guess you're getting to see the tripod legs here, but so sorry about that. Little peek behind the camera, so to speak. even though it's not behind the camera. All right, let me check in on the chat here. Yep. Sweet. Okay, I think I'm caught up. All right, so I think I'm done with that, unless I have to recut things later, which is definitely a possibility. All right. So then with this, whatever I cut, I don't want it to be any lower than the level of my, I don't want the cut that I make for the wedge to go below the level of my mallet head. So that's a hard stop right there. So I'm thinking if I aim for right around here, that should be kind of a good spot. So let me just mark about, just eyeballing about 2/3 of the way down here. That's probably a good spot for my drill hole. And let me find some scrap wood over here. And a drill right there. And some drill bits right here. And I think I'll just drill. I think we need to drill it in this way. And I think this should be, I'm going to try and get the center here before I start drilling, so that I can try to put that as close to center as possible. So I just guess that that's center. And mark. And then turn it around the other way. And mark. And then the middle of those two lines is my center. There we go. Should I have used the drill press to make sure I got a 90-degree angle on that? Probably. Whew. Trying to put the drill bit away, and it's kind of hot. Note to self: don't burn yourself with a drill bit. All right, so now I want to cut there. Need to make something that's dark enough for me to actually see it. Probably would have been better for me to get a little bit closer to center on this measurement, but whatever. Just go down the middle there. And I think I'll just use my Moxon vise here, see if that'll work. See if I can give you guys a decent view of that. So just made a pretty simple Moxon vise here. I saw it on Stubby Nubs. He was showcasing a kit from Taylor Tools, and I thought, hey, that is pretty slick. But I did not want to pay for the kit, and so I just went out and got the pieces and made it myself, and probably not nearly as well as if I just followed the kit. Didn't really save that much money. It's a little cheaper than buying the kit, but whatever. So just get out the old Japanese pull saw here. And this is probably way bigger than I need for this application. But since I don't have a smaller one and I'm too cheap to get a smaller one, let's see, I think these guys are actually designed to cut as you're pushing away, but that is so foreign to me. And I just need to get it started, but I think I want to bring him a little bit lower so that I've got a little bit more control closer to where I'm cutting. There we go. All right. No one's talking. Hey, up to something outdoors. Good to see you, man. And Loviana, thanks for being here. So here we go. Let's see if I can get some purchase with this saw. I generally much prefer using power tools. I think I really should get a much smaller pull saw. Hey, well, you know, that worked okay. Didn't get it quite in the middle. Right, this side is obviously smaller than that side, but whatever. And yeah, and then got the drywall and whatever still stuck to that side. So, but I'll be cleaning off these edges anyway, so that won't stick around forever. So, all right, let's move you back over here a little bit. Let me put away the pull saw. And scoot you over on the workbench. And get you over here. All right, let me see. Really should have avoided having a nail hole on the face of this, but so this is just a practice mallet anyway, so who cares? So that's a lot smaller than that, so I'll use this for the inside face. This one got a little bit of a screw remnant there that I didn't notice before. And which side do I prefer facing out? I think I like this one facing out better. These ones don't matter because they're going to be hidden, except for the striking face. And I think both of those are fine. And this one has to be like that. And so basically it gets assembled like that. So I think I'm going to just start gluing. And then once I've got it all glued together, I'll clamp it. And then once it's all dry, I'll put in a wedge. So it'll take a while before I get to that part. But, you know, we'll be mostly done. I'll just have to finish the wedge, probably not on the live. So sorry for all of those of you who would be, you feel like you're really missing out. But we'll get as much of it done as we can. And yeah, up to something outdoors. You want to double subscribe to Shoop? Yeah, he's pretty good channel, pretty entertaining. And yeah, Up to Something Outdoors. Anyone who wants to check his channel out, go ahead. And yeah, so I'll just start gluing this up, and I'll just use some original Titebond because this shouldn't be exposed to too much water, moisture. Pretty arid climate here, so just get out a little acid brush from Harbor Freight to mix that around. Okay. Not too worried about these bristles getting caught in there. Uh, don't like the all right. All right. Put that there. That there. Put that there. Put that all together as best I can. And put a fair amount of glue on that surface. And press that together. And grab a couple of clamps there. Just want to keep those lined so that they glue into the appropriate positions. Relatively flush together. All right. Well, I got a lot more squeeze out on this guy than I did on him. That's not the worst thing in the world. All right, this guy isn't as aligned as I wanted to be, so I'm gonna take those clamps off and try to reposition him a little bit. That's a little better. So sometimes when you put these clamps on, they cause some movement. I don't really need a lot of clamping pressure here, so hopefully I can get them to the point where they're applying a little bit of clamping pressure, but not squeezing it out of place. That's just about right. Still not quite perfect, but I don't know that I have ever made anything that was perfect anyway. So all right. And then the other thing I was thinking to do, Uncle Packy, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing, man? I'm just trying to make a little mallet here. It's, you know, coming along. And we're not exactly sure what kind of wood this is. For Douglas fir, hemlock, kind of smells like cedar. So, if you know what kind of wood this is, let us know. So I've got the head all glued together, but it needs to dry. I was thinking to put something on the edge, on the ends here, on the strike face, that would be a little bit more robust than what I've got there. And oh wow, look at that. That is almost perfect. That is almost perfect. And if it weren't, I've got something else to work with over on this other side. So this is just some offcut of oak paneling that I used recently. But this one has a big kind of divot in it from when I was planing it. Kind of got stuck in the planer a little bit and kind of did that. I'm not sure that I want to use this segment. I don't have to. It'd be just the edge, and I could put that on the inside, which means that I'd have this piece on the outside, which isn't the worst, right? And or I could just use that. But if I use that, then I'm not going to have enough down here, but maybe I would have enough to use over here. Let's see. I do that. Just mark that. The underside there. Let's just see. Just do some cutting on the bandsaw. See if I can come up with some oak strike plates. Because oak is going to last a lot longer than whatever this wood is. So let me you move your over to the bandsaw here. And for the bandsaw, so on the table saw, you didn't see me hook up any dust collection because I have dust collection kind of integrated with the table saw. With the bandsaw, I've got to hook it up to my vacuum, my shop vac with my cyclone separator over there, the dust stopper. So the way I do that, pretty easy. Just have to find the end here, and it has a little modular deal, and then just connect it to the base here. Connect it like that, and should work pretty well. All right. So this is my little homemade homemade fence. My Craftsman bandsaw. Bandsaw is from 1978. Not quite as old as I am, but pretty close. So, all right, I'm going to put on some hearing and ear protection. Before I do, let me check, see if there's anything I need to address in the chat. Y'all can talk, don't bite. Anyone watching, only 20 likes, yeah. So yeah, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe if you're interested, and it'd be great. All right, I'm going to put on my eye protection, my hearing protection. I'm going to plug in the bandsaw. Seems like I always get everything ready, and I say, oh, turning everything on. I turn on the vacuum, and then I turn on the bandsaw, and I realize, oh, yeah, I forgot to plug in the bandsaw. So anyway, we'll see what we can do. All right, so I'm just going to cut off a little segment here, and then I'll be back to check and see how much I need to cut of the rest of it. All right, vacuum, bandsaw. All right. And let's see. Oh, I think my idea was to cut it, to use it like that. So let's see. I think I can pretty much just go off of this cut right there. And I need to go up to there. So let me mark that top line. It's easier to mark if I don't drop the pencil. At least I'm presuming it is, since can't really know because I did drop the pencil. So okay. So that didn't really make a very dark mark. So I'll make it a little darker here. So I can actually see when I go to make the cut. All right. this piece separated, which I'm a little sad about. I was hoping to use that for my next segment, but actually it probably wouldn't have been much use anyway. So not going to worry about crying over that. So let's see. So looks like that should be just about big enough. Looks like I made it a little too narrow, but I can just kind of sand. I can just kind of sand the mallet a little bit to make it look like it was supposed to be that way. So then I'll just make another one with pretty much these same dimensions. There we go. Oh, I just need to take off that little nub there. Go. All right. That is actually a little too tall, really. Need to take off a little bit. Fair amount too tall, really. All right. Taking off my eye and ear protection. And Kopaki, hey, I'm trying to make a mallet here. And I don't know if I already told you that or not. But anyway, here's kind of what we got so far. Not exactly sure what kind of wood this is, but it's just some scrap that I had laying around. And I've got some old oak hardwood floor pieces that I'm going to put on here as the strike faces, like there, and then this guy on the other side. Not sure that I like him as the, I'm not sure I like him either. Let's use him. So I'll just glue these guys on, and actually I'm going to cut a little bit of this guy off too. I'll be right back. Let me just mark him. Means I'm putting my eye ear protection back on. All right, just shaved off a tiny bit there. And got a little bit of a lip. Do I want to just try sanding him later or cutting him now? Cutting him now, probably easier than sanding later. So make him as flush as possible. It's just a little sliver. I don't know if you can probably see the pencil mark I made there. And that's all I'm going to try to shave off here. And I'll let you see the shaving. Because of my generous attitude. You know, I guess I should have secured the. Blade guard here. The blade guide, what it's called. Really, I should have secured it way down here instead of having it up here. And I should have secured it much better than I did. That was fun. Wake you up if you're starting to doze there. Okay. Let's test that out. That's just about perfect. And so is that. So think of these two sides. I think I like this side better. So we'll glue this side down. And again, just using some Type Bond Original. See if I've got it blocked a little bit from my earlier gluing. I'll just use the same brush as before. And get good coverage all the way to the edges. And then get that glue down nice and tight. And then I'll just flop it around, glue up this side. Again, good coverage out to the edges. And put him on tight. And I'm just going to try to put something heavy on there, see if I can get that to balance. And that'll act as my clamp. Everyone knows the best clamp to use is a Makita 18-volt drill. Guess it's probably safe for me to remove my iron ear protection for now. All right, so I need for the glue to dry on all of these joints. I need to shave this handle down so it's a little bit easier to grip with my hand, because right now it's got a slight taper to it. All right, just because that's what the wood already was, is just slightly tapered. But I want that to be better, easier to hold, not have those edges on it. So I think I'll chisel off the corners and try to shape that a little bit. And I'm not sure exactly how much shaping I'm going to try to do, because that's not really something that I'm particularly good at. But I don't know that I really need to make it much smaller, because that's already a pretty good size for, gripping my hand around. I think I want to just make it a little bit, nicer for my hand to grab onto. So let's see. I think my chat might be frozen here because I haven't seen anything come through for a while, but maybe it's just because nobody's saying anything. Anyone saying anything there that I'm not seeing on chat? If so, let me know. I'm gonna refresh the screen on my laptop just to be sure that I'm not missing things, because you never know. Okay, yeah, it looks like I'm still good. All right. So I'm supposed to wait at least 30 minutes with having the clamps on. I think I'm probably okay on these joints. I think I've probably been at least, or probably close to 30 minutes, maybe not entirely quite yet. Guess I could look back at my my live stream and see how long ago I put those clamps on. And that'll tell me if it's been 30 minutes yet or not. Let's see. If I look at 30 minutes ago, the clamps were not on yet. So I could still try manipulating. Here's something I could try. Let's see. If I take that off and switch these clamps to being on the bottom side. I mean, like I said, I'm not sure that I really even need these clamps on anymore anyway. But if I switch these to being on the top side, on the bottom side of the mallet, I'm just trying to think of something that will allow me to progress. All right. So then I take my Moxon vise, all right, let me disconnect this and move this guy out of the way more. Give myself a little bit more operating room. And I'm going to need to go out probably at least 6 inches here. Yep, more than that. Oh, almost enough. Like I was saying earlier, this isn't the best Moxon vise ever, but for the most part, it does the job. If I were to do it over again, there are things I would do differently. And so I might actually do it over again. All right, that's in there nice and secure. Those are on there pretty secure, but I'm actually going to shift them a little bit so that they are more out of the way, away from the center here. All right, so now I can work with the handle, but I'd rather be working the other direction. So let me think about how I want to do this, if I want to do this. All right. Get out a chisel. So I picked up this set of Marples chisels off of Facebook Marketplace for like $10, I think, which Felt like a really good deal to me. The main chisels that I had before that were just some cobalt construction grade chisels that I got from Lowe's a while back. So not the best for woodworking. Tried to get them as sharp as I can, but still not great. I'm not the best at sharpening chisels, but try to do what I could on these guys. You can kind of see you can see how I've got, it's not quite a straight, and see if I can get it to focus properly here. Maybe not. So anyway, all right. So I would like to go from the bottom up because I'm worried that if I'm going this direction, whoa, as I go into it, I'm afraid I'll dig into the workpiece a little more than I want to. But you know what? I think maybe I will go from this direction and just kind of aim for, you know, a little bit of a, you know, kind of an hourglass type deal here. So just kind of go if I feel. Might be nice if I had a mallet right now, but right now I just kind of want to take off these harsh corners. Right. And I'm not going very far down because I think I want to attack further down from the opposite side and just kind of meet in the middle. I'm actually kind of pleased so far with the sharpness of this chisel. I haven't really used it very much since last sharpening. I wasn't expecting it to work this well. Okay, let me come around from the other angle here. Hey, baby kisses. Love the little mallet. Thanks. Appreciate it. Ah, well, I'm probably going to remove all of that anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much about. That's part of why I didn't want to kind of go from this angle, was worried about, taking off too much. All right, so this is not something that I really do very often. Really hardly at all. I'm not really much of a hand tool guy, but I thought, you know what, this is probably a task best handled by hand tools. One of the channels I follow that is into hand tools quite a bit is Dad's Workshop. They do live videos pretty much every weekday. So if hand tool work is what you're into, Dad's Workshop is a really good follow. Yeah. All right, I think that's about as far as I want to dare with that. And just see if I can round this a little bit more. And that's pretty much what I was hoping to avoid. Now that I've done it, why not just continue? I feel like I'm not quite as sharp as when I started. So let me see if I can find my strop. Should be in this container, but there it is. All right, let's see if that did any good. Yeah, kind of dug in quite a bit right there. I think I'm just going to make it worse the more I go with this chisel. I think at this point, probably I just need to sand it smooth. And maybe that's what I should have done just from the start. But I did get off a little drywall that was stuck to the side there. So mission accomplished on that, I guess. Let's see. All right. Let's see if I put this down and go to start with this is just 120 grit sandpaper. It's not used a little bit, so maybe I should have started with a fresh piece. Yeah, I'm gonna loosen this a little bit and bring this up a little higher. And see if this one has a little bit more bite to it. Probably throw that one away. All of you who are out there watching at the moment, feel free to jump into the chat. Let us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. For me, it's just after 2 a.m. I'm in great state of Idaho in the United States of America. Hey, New Beginnings. Good to see you, Chase. In West Virginia, 4:08 a.m. That is awesome. Thanks for being here, man. Are you still up from yesterday, or you're just up super early today? Mike Osborne, 288. Oh, really? Is it? Are you in Mountain Time Zone in North Dakota? Thanks for being here, man. Don't think I realized that North Dakota was Mountain Time. I think I would have expected that to be Central Time. Or are they on a different daylight savings time than the rest of Central Time? Up super early? Cool. You have anything planned for being up super early, or it's just coincidence and fortuitous that you get to join us for my late night woodworking and your early morning YouTube viewing? Okay, that's almost looking like I intended it to be like this. Let me just vacuum it off so that I can better see what's going on exactly. Also helps to get the sanding dust out of there. To sandpaper works better that way. All right, so I've got a gouge right in here, in there, up here that I need to address. So, and just reposition my sandpaper. I think I've got that gouge mostly taken care of. Mike is part of it. Drive 20 miles east in your central time zone. Okay, that makes sense. Get the shop, get back on the coffee table. Oh yeah, you gotta keep on that coffee table, huh? Tell you, man, making a table out of coffee is tough. I applaud you for the effort. And try a card scraper. Yeah, I've got some card scrapers. I'm not very good with them, and especially where I've got this kind of angled, so because I'm just got it secured in the Moxon vise, so as to kind of keep the oak face plates clamped. But I probably don't need to worry about that. I can probably take those guys off now too. It's probably been over my 30 minutes of clamping time. So here's what it looks like so far. So again, we're not exactly sure what kind of wood this is. We know it's a softwood. Might be a Douglas fir. It smells like cedar to me, but who knows. So everything but the face plates is made of this wood, and then the face plates are oak. And taking it out of the vise makes it a lot easier to see what else I need to sand here. And really, it's not nearly as bad as I was anticipating. I'm just hitting it with 120 right now. And then I was thinking to hit it with 180 afterwards. And I won't go any finer than that. All right. So that should be fine. And I'm going to as long as I've got that 120 on there. Just sand the underside of the mallet here. Maybe I shouldn't be sanding this quite yet, since I haven't let the glue dry on these oak face plates for really that long, but probably long enough. All right. So probably need to replace that sanding disc and or go a coarser grit. So I think I'm going to do both. Let's see this. This is an 80 grit, and the middle is pretty used up, but let's see if we can extract some more value out of this before throwing it away. Hi, Sura. Thanks for joining. Not sure what you're saying. Because I don't read whatever language that is. Looks like maybe Arabic letters. All right, that seems to be working a little bit. All right. All right. I think this is the part where I grow impatient. Because as I mentioned earlier, I'm not much for hand tools. So let me put my Moxon vise back in all the way and pull out a power tool. And plug in a power tool. And here we go. Put on some hearing protection and some eye protection after it falls down. I'm going to go with 80 grit to make this quick, and then we'll progress up. So vacuum on and sander on. Yeah, it's still going strong, Benjamin. Here's the mallet so far. You'll need to put the wedge in on top, and Need to, I just did 80 grit sanding, so I'm going to bump it up to 120 and then probably 180. All right. And all right. So that's sanded to 120. And it's really light, which is good and bad. You know, it's not going to pack a lot of blow, but for fine work on a chisel, it should work pretty well, right? Because it's pretty light and maneuverable. So still need to put the wedge in the top. Like I said, that's at 120. And you know what? That's smooth enough for me. I don't need I don't need to go any higher grit than that. So let me see if I can find something to use as a wedge here. All right. I know I made some wedges a while ago out of just some 2x4 material. Like that. Wonder if that's going to be good enough. So obviously that's going to be too wide. But if I cut this guy right there. Oh. Oops, if I'm using the part of the pencil that actually writes. All right, so let's cut this guy off. Actually, I'll just use the bandsaw. That'll be easiest. I'm going to use the table saw with the crosscut sled, but I think the bandsaw is going to be quicker and easier. And actually, let me scoot him over here so it's easier for me to reach the power button, power outlet. And switch my dust collection back over. And put my eye and ear protection back on. All right. Should be fine. All right. I know this isn't the greatest wedge, but let's see if it'll work. Hello. See somebody in the chat there whose name I cannot pronounce. All right. So let's see if this will work. Element of truth. And my wedge is a shave too wide. Do that. But I wonder if I can kind of pound it in there a little bit anyway. Or probably I should just shave off a little bit more. That'd be wiser. So iron ear protection back on. Clear out this excess. It's out of the way. And I think I'm going to take off more down here at the thin end and have it tapered out. So hopefully that'll work. All right. That feels like it should work. Thinking maybe I should put some glue in there, but part of me is thinking, why bother? Just pound this guy in and call it good. I'm not sure how far I'll even be able to get him in, but I'll put a little bit of glue on here. If I can get any glue out of here, since I didn't close up the glue bottle earlier. All right. That might be deeper than I can even get the wedge anyway. So all right, I'm going to put the wedge back in my Moxon vise, or put the mallet back in my Moxon vise. And don't know if I'm going to get that wedge any deeper than that, which feels like that's as far as it went just by hand. Let me see if I can get this tighter in the vise and see if it'll go any deeper. And give you a little bit different angle here. Hopefully not covered up by my hand. Or by the other mallet here. Don't know that it's really focusing in very well on that wedge, but there we go. All Yeah, I don't think it's going in any further. Well, it feels like it did go in a little bit more, or maybe just the glue is dried, so it doesn't seem like it's as far out, but all right. So now I'll just cut off that excess wedge. Means getting out the Japanese pull saw again. Actually, let me go this way. There we go. Relatively painless. And looks like I'm going to need to sand again. Clean out the teeth there. Best I can. Use the cross-cutting side for that. Seemed to work okay, although I didn't get as clean of a cut as I was hoping. But maybe that's because the saw I'm using is a bit oversized for the job. All right. And I'll hook up the vacuum to my sander again. And turn on the vacuum. right, so I just rounded over these edges on top here with the sander. The cut that I did with the saw earlier wasn't perfect here, but because I still had some fresh glue and sanded that with the sawdust, it just kind of filled that in. So there's still a little tiny bit of vacancy right there that I am definitely not going to worry about. But for the most part, everything's just filled in nice and smooth. And I didn't use quite enough glue here or there. So you can see a little bit of gap there, a little bit of gap here. And this was the piece with the screw that had been in there. And got a little bit of gap right in there too. So, you know, not perfect, but for a first mallet, not terrible. So I'm going to vacuum this guy off, and then let's put a finish on him. So whoa. Actually, I'm going to vacuum up some more stuff. All right, so for the finish, let's start with some shellac. Just using some spray shellac because it's quick and easy. It dries quickly. It adheres to pretty much everything. Before I do that, I'm going to start putting stuff away so they don't get sprayed. I'm also going to take off my eye and ear protection. The chisel cover back on here and close up the chisel box. Scoot that out of the way, scoot this stuff out of the way, the ruler away. Okay. All right. Hey, TJ. Thanks for joining us, man. All right. Here we go. Hey, Tim List. Thanks for joining us, man. Good morning. Don't you mean good night? Yeah, I haven't gone to bed yet. We'll let that shellac dry, and then I think I'll hit it with some lacquer because I've got a can of lacquer that I don't think I've used up. So let that guy dry. Let me check in on chat in the meantime. And for those of you in chat, let me know where you're watching from and what you think so far. 5 a.m. Early birds or night owls? Yep. Yeah, it's 3 a.m. here, and I am definitely on the night owl schedule. Oh, Southwest Ohio, is that OHII? Okay, Ohio. Yep. Night owl Tim. Oh, up to something outdoors is the night owl. Night owl or up to something outdoors. Where are you watching from? Little night shift. Yeah. So up to something where you where's your night shift at? Are you stateside or international or something else? I'm not sure what else it would be besides stateside or international, but you never know, I guess. So the shellac doesn't take a long time to dry. You can see a little bit of wetness right there. Still a fair amount. I did spray a fair amount of shellac on there, so usually within just a few minutes it's ready for the next coat or whatever. So and even if it's not ready, sometimes I still use the next coat. So let's see, am I supposed to be shaking up this lacquer? I don't remember. Let's see. Shake can. Yep. It says to shake for 1 to 2 minutes. I am not going to shake for that long because I am lazy and because I watched a video from Steve, what's his name? Ramsey, Woodworking for Mere Mortals. He did some rudimentary testing that basically indicated that no, you don't need to shake for as long as they say. If you shake for like 7 seconds, I think you're getting pretty much all the benefit of shaking for a minute or more. So I'm going to call that good. All right. All right. Like shellac, lacquer also dries quickly. Unlike shellac, lacquer tends to be a little toxic to inhale. So I'm gonna open up the door here so we get some good ventilation. And hey, Keith, thanks for joining us. Let's see. Never thought of using plywood for a mallet. Let us know how it holds up. Yeah, so I know that's in the title, but right after I started using or started cutting up the plywood to use for the mallet, it kind of started falling apart because it had a lot of internal voids, and so I didn't end up actually making that out of plywood. Instead, I'm using some kind of softwood. I'm not exactly sure what it is, and then I've just got oak face plates. So it's just some old oak hardwood floors that I'm repurposing. Got them off of somebody that was getting rid of their hardwood floors off of Facebook Marketplace. So you can see the oak face plates there, and everything else is a softwood. I'm not sure what softwood it is. We had several different opinions of what it might be, but here's kind of where the pile or the pile of oak flooring that I've repurposed. I did that on prior live videos. Removed all the nails and jointed them and ripped them and leveled or planed them. So, so anyway, that's what I did on those. So yeah, no actual plywood was used or harmed in the making of this mallet. And it is a very lightweight mallet because I used softwood for the vast majority of it, and then just have the oak as the faceplate there. And let's see. Yeah, it should work fairly well. Yeah. Yeah, I would think so. Hey, Sophia, thanks for joining us. As I was thinking about the plywood, I was like, it'll probably, probably won't hold up particularly well because, I wasn't planning to reinforce the various plies. So, as it had impact after impact, I figured those plies would separate and whatever. So I wasn't expecting that it would be particularly long lasting, but I just figured, hey, I've got some scrap plywood that I'm not going to do anything else with. At least didn't have any other plans for it at the moment. So why not see how that works and kind of make a first mallet and see what I learned from the process. But when the plywood didn't work, I decided to opt for whatever this stuff is. I think it's turned out okay. So, it's not a particularly heavy duty mallet. It's not going to provide a lot of force for anything, but should be able to give some fine detail knocks on whatever it is that I'm trying to work with. Appreciate you saying that, Keith. Still beautiful. I'm not able to hold it more steadily than I am, but anyway, it's probably ready for the next coat of lacquer. All right. I think 1 coat of shellac and 2 coats of lacquer is probably all I'm going to do with this guy. So I think we're pretty close to complete. So let me just give you a nice little background. Reviewing our completed mallet. It's just some old shelving boards that, I think I got from my brother. And let's see if I can get this guy to stand. There we go. Yeah, Keith, go ahead. Tell me about your channel. What's your? You can probably put the at. Let's see. Let me see if I can. I'm not sure if I have any mods in here right now. Let me see if I can get your link. There we go. And oh, there's something up there. There we go. Control copy. Control. Oh, to do. Okay, yeah, different. Not your Keith Shoe account. Let's see. There we go. Two dudes DIY. Yeah, there we go. Desert Evergreen Wood Design. Is that right? Am I looking at the right one? Desert Evergreen Wood Design. Yes. Okay. In that case, there's the link, everybody. Go ahead and check out Two Dudes DIY. And let's see, Sophia. Okay. So Keith says, love seeing the wood grain. Sophia says, it is beautiful. Love the wood grain. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sophia agrees with Keith. Tim hopes that everything is well with everybody. Sophia, I could do a spinning cake stand to show this off. I could if I were any good at that sort of thing, but I'm not. So I'll just give you a little white background, and that should be sufficient for viewing the workpiece here. Let me lower this down a little bit. And there it is. So hope hope you've enjoyed. So I think that's going to end our live stream for the night. We've got a new mallet. That can be used for malleting. And there you go. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and do all the things. And we will catch you on the next live stream. And check out some of my long form video or some of my shorts, or some of the old live streams as well. So thanks everybody for being here. Thanks Tim and Sophia and Keith and Up to Something Outdoors and everyone else who's helped in the chat or to moderate and all the other good stuff. And hope for all the best for all of you. Take care. See you next time.